Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laquita Evans and I am a risk adjustment auditor. I asked you all if you had any questions for me. I am now going to answer them for you. So let's jump right into it. It was in the low 20s per hour, but it was a unique situation. We bonused 5% of our salary every year. And we also had incentive plan in place. The incentive plan was not something that they had in place the entire time that I was employed with that company, but for a good chunk of time, it was in place. If they had a target of once you reach 100 charts, you would get this amount. Once you reach 350, you get this amount. If you code 700, you get this amount. They had those kind of things in place. So it definitely helped. Every company does not have an incentive plan. Every company does not have a bonus plan. So just keep that in mind during your search. I see I responded to your comment as well, but I have no medical coding background, medical billing background. I started my professional career in the mortgage industry. MAU clerk, manager assistance unit clerk. I then became a default processor 2 and then was promoted to a default processor 3. And then from a default processor 3, I then went on and became a bankruptcy specialist 3 and bankruptcy audit specialist 3. Chapter 13 dismissals. I worked on those. I started out like a lot of you all with no experience. As far as a position that can help greater your chances to become a medical coder, I cannot suggest that to you. A common thing that I hear is to get your foot in the door and work as a clerk, front desk for a hospital, go into medical billing, become a patient access representative. That's now how I entered the industry. So I can't tell you, go and become a front desk clerk for a hospital. Do customer service for a hospital so you can already be working for that hospital, and then hopefully they will promote you to a coder once you're certified and all of that. I can't suggest that to you. When I decided that I wanted to leave medical coding and go into tech, I tried to leave medical coding altogether. I even tried to apply for billing positions. They were not having it. I would talk to the HR representative and let them know, look, I'm trying to branch out. I want to do something a little bit different other than coding. No matter what I said, they were only trying to fish me coding positions only. I felt like how some actors feel like they are typecast. That's how I started to feel as a medical coder. They will always say, well, you have experience in coding. We're looking for a coder. You'll be perfect for this. Reject after reject after reject. I was really burnt out. I'm not going to dare suggest and say become a patient access representative and then you're trying to break out of that. And that's all that you're getting calls for. So I say if you want to be a coder, I say go for it. Put your all into it. You'll be just like me. I started out with no experience. I don't have a medical coding, medical billing background. I just apply for those roles regardless of the experience level that they ask for. Entry level, mid level, I did it all. The worst that they can say is no. In the beginning, it absolutely met my expectations once I got the hang of it. And did I enjoy it? Absolutely. I was in love with my medical coding role in the beginning. I was very in love. When I first started off as a medical coder, I struggled a lot. And you know what? That's a story time. I struggled a lot. It took some time for me to get the hang of it. Once I got the hang of it, I loved my job. I remember the day that I went home. I was in the office for a month and 3 weeks maybe. And then after that, they sent me with my equipment. I went home and I was just so excited and in love. I remember when I got my badge and it had my picture on it, my name, and it said coding specialist. I used to just stare at that badge because it was a long time coming. I've never heard of the institution that you mentioned, but if there is anyone watching this video that do, could you please be so kind and leave a comment in the section below to help her out. As far as my thoughts about online education for medical coding, I suggest it. I did not take a coding course, and I truly feel like that was the reason that I struggled so much. And had I took a coding program, I feel that it would have been easier for me. It was a struggle in the beginning. I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. I highly recommend online education, but I do not have anyone that I recommend that you go through as far as online education, because I don't have any experience with it. So I can't suggest it to you, but I've heard good things about some different places. I would say ask around, read reviews for sure. And if you run into anything and you're just seeing like 5-star, 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 just make sure that you do your due diligence just to make sure you're going into a program that you know that by the end of it, you should learn everything that you need to learn and that you have a high chance of passing your certification exam. Have you heard of CDI? CDI is Clinical Documentation Improvement Specialist. You being a nurse, CDI would love you. They love to hire nurses because you know that terminology. I've seen some CDI positions where your nursing license is enough and you don't even need a CPC. You don't need a certification at all. There are some nurses out there who are certified and they work in CDI. Try to go that route and see how that would get, where that would get you. But the fact that you are a nurse, you have a leg up, especially in CDI. So look into CDI. You may love CDI. You'll be able to deal with medical coding and all of that. How to update your resume. I can only tell you what I did. I did not have a cover letter, no background in medical coding. I just included my work history, like 10 years, like they say, include your last 10 years. I included my 10 years on that, just generic resume, but I had a summary at the top of my resume. It spoke about my skill set, what I wanted to contribute as a medical coder, and how I am someone who does my due diligence, dedicated to coding to the highest specificity. I follow coding guidelines. You can use ChatGPT to help write that summary on your resume if you choose to do that. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did to kind of try to set myself apart. So I actually answered your question in this video right here. And switch over to risk adjustment coding. If you dare, you may just love it. Your question was kind of like a two-part. So for the second part, it took me less than a month to find my first coding role. It didn't take me long at all. The productivity was 50 charts per day. We did not have to adhere to so many charts per hour. Did they have a breakdown of what it was as far as 50 charts divided by 8 hours? They did have that, but it was not like a tracking. You submitted only 5 charts between this time and that time. None of that was going on there. We just had the productivity goal of 50 charts. I come from IHA, in-home health assessments. So you're not looking at any type of documents where it's like a doctor visit, assessment plan, HPI, physical exam, problem list. The productivity was 50 charts per day. I didn't have an issue with 50 charts per day. That was doable for me. It didn't feel stressful. Some days you might have charts where you just feel like it was hard to complete. You run into difficult charts at times. But other than that, it was pretty easy to meet that productivity goal of 50 charts per day. As far as retaining information, now what I did was I was new and I was slow. So what I did to help me be faster, the fact that we did IHAs there, we dealt with a lot of the same codes. So I made a cheat sheet of combo codes because you have coding directives, AHA coding clinic. One thing I will say is that we didn't have encoder and we did not have any way to like electronically look up a coding clinic. They provided those in PDFs. And it was extremely counterproductive. What I would do is I would have it listed. Let's say, I'm going to say something simple like a combo code. DM plus sign polyneuropathy equals E1142. I would do things like that to help me remember so I don't have to keep looking up these codes over and over and over again. Starting out coding for DM, I was terrible with those combo codes. So I will make a cheat sheet of that. Cancer codes. I will have a shortcut to the secondary codes for cancer codes. We had to code family history and personal history. I will have those codes easily accessible. Ostomy codes. I will have those codes easily accessible. When the new code sets come out, I'll have to go in there and update that list if anything changed. But as far as like coding directives, excludes, I would have those things on my spreadsheet to help me code faster. That's truly how I help myself retain information, because you may find yourself constantly missing the same combo code, constantly coding something a certain way when they keep telling you to code it this way. It's so much to remember. When you're starting off as a new coder, it feels overwhelming. It's very overwhelming to try to remember this code has an excludes one. For some of you, you may wonder like, well, how is that hard? We didn't have encoder. So I had to flip through that book. That takes too much time when they have the productivity standards and all of that. So if I had a certain code and I know that, oh, this one got a large list of with and due to, I showed y'all in the previous video how you saw me print out a page for dementia out of the coding book. And then it's in this video right here on the screen. I printed out the page for dementia. I printed out the page for, I believe, polyneuropathy, because we used those codes frequently. I'm talking about all the time. And that helped me to not miss a combo code. I didn't have the luxury of looking up the codes online. I would have to get in that book and flip through those pages and do it that way. That's how I made myself a faster coder and a more efficient coder in the circumstance that I was in. So as far as the training, I felt like I was in a unique situation, a generous situation. They looked out for us with that training. Training was not a set time for everyone. We were all together for maybe like the first 2 days. Then they separated us into little rooms. The room that I was in, I was with my manager, and it was 2 of us in a room together, 2 or 3, something like that. So they had different rooms, all working on our own computer. We had access to our manager right there for questions. So I could be doing my work and I can like turn right around and, could you help me with this? Could you come look over at this? Not that I had to send an email or ping anyone. That person was right in the room with us, training us. After we left from those rooms, they put us on the coding floor where we're in our own cubicle. And we were in training until you get it. Everyone went home at different times. Say it took this person 2 weeks to get it down. Once they were coding at a certain amount of charts per day, and once they were hitting a certain percentage as far as accuracy, they received their equipment right there at the job, and you put in your car and you took it and you went home. I love that. It didn't feel like a pressure. Now, if you're there 6 months, I highly doubt they will let anyone be there 6 months in training. If you're there for 6 months in training, you're not catching on, you're not getting it. So once I was hitting my 50 charts per day, and once I was hitting my 95% or above accuracy, I received my equipment and they sent me home. I never really worked anywhere else where it was like extensive training. I believe that they did that for us because we were new, and a lot of us were A's. Very, very, very hands-on. Almost like hand-holding. Hands-on. They really, really were. Did I feel ready? Oh, yes, I felt ready. I got fast. In the beginning, I was slow because it was a struggle at first. I felt ready because I was hitting my 50 charts per day and I was coding at 95% accuracy. The proof was in the pudding. I had the numbers there to show me I'm ready, and I was ready to get out of there. I did feel ready. I've seen some new roles where they will list the training like 12 weeks. Once you're seasoned, as a coder, I can't say that you're going to receive extensive training like that. Like the role that I'm in now, was my training extensive? No. But you know why? I didn't need it. I really, really didn't need it. If they would have had extensive training where I'm at now, it probably would have been a waste of time because I already knew what I was doing. I didn't require that type of attention. Every role that I've worked in after my very, very first role, I never was hired on anywhere and the training was extensive. Even one contract role that I took on, they specifically said, we're not training you all. We're doing a 2-hour training. Yes. They said, we're doing a 2-hour training. We made sure that everyone that we hired had more than 5 years of experience. You all should know what you're doing. Some people may frown upon that, but honestly, I knew what I was doing. If you know you have no experience in medical coding, please don't lie on your resumes and say that you have the experience that you don't, because I would hate for you to get thrown in a situation where they don't train you and they expect for you to just know. You will not be able to get by without getting caught in your lie. If you go in there, you have no experience and you're coding a certain way and you say you have 3 years, they're going to know that you're lying. Now that I am an auditor, I can tell when I'm dealing with a new coder, because no adherence to exclude notes, exclude ones, no adherence to AHA coding clinic, no adherence to coding to the highest specificity, coding multiple specificities of one condition. I don't want you to put yourself in that situation to be embarrassed and walk out of your job. Please don't lie on your resume. If you don't have experience, you don't have it. Just be patient and do your due diligence with the roles. Apply as much as you can until it's your turn to get hired on as a coder. That looks like all the questions that I have so far. I kind of feel like some of you may have not seen this post. I expected way more questions on here, and it's not a lot. If you want another Q&A, I would do another one of these for you all. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, you guys.